Okay, I filmed this before, and I fucking hated my filming. I fucking hated it. So I'm filming this again. So let's do it. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I have something very, very exciting for you. Something that is very personal to me, to be completely honest. It is an NPC that I made a long time ago. And whenever I say a long time ago, I mean like years ago. It is a dedication, a memory of someone from the past that kind of culminated into this really fun, interactive idea that could bring the players back over and over and over again and eventually lead to a really cool side quest. And it's all wrapped up in an NPC, and honestly, this is like quintessential NPC lifehood, right? Like timeline. It's like you show up, you're cute, the players grow attached to you, and then you die, and they honor you in death as a side quest. I think it's good. I think it's really good. So I want to introduce you to him today. I have called him Ned this entire time, but to be honest with you, he deserves to have some sort of Sylvan, Drow, Elven name. I just have trouble reading Elven names, to be completely honest with you. That's why I don't really use them all that much. My dyslexia really makes Elven names incredibly difficult. And so I call him Ned. So I would like to introduce you to one of my favorite NPCs I've ever created, Ned. The first thing that you need to know about Ned is that he is a Drow. The second thing that you need to know about Ned is that he is a very, very, very old man. A very much twilight years. I think that's what we call him now, twilight years, sunset years, very much old. Drow can live up to 750 years in D&D realm, and he is probably 748 years old. You know what I mean? He's an old man. And of being an old man, whether he presents as an old man is up to you, because I know that there are some people who take elves as like old classical elves that do not age, and then some people take elves as this new age, like yes, they do age. You can see age on it, you know. So I don't know if he still looks 20, but he is a very, very old man, and he has Alzheimer's. Now, he does have all of the classic symptoms of Alzheimer's, the not knowing what day it is, or thinking that it is a day that is much later than it actually, or much earlier than it actually is. He still thinks that his wife is alive. He still, whenever he sees some people in the town that he lives in, he calls them their grandmother's name or their mother's name. And yeah, he does have all of the classic symptoms of just Alzheimer's and aging. And the main one, the most important one, is that he forgets new faces. If you've had a face that he's seen over and over again, he might probably remember you. But new faces, he does not remember new faces. And that is our key. That is what comes into play. What you need to know about him is that he has been around for 748 years. He has seen the rise and fall of kingdoms. He has seen kings and queens die and be moved on. He's been through so many monarchs at this point, it's not even funny. The thing that is kind of stagnant about his life is that he was an adventurer. He was an adventurer just like your players. He was very much into going out and being heroic and taking care of the people and making sure that everybody comes home at the end of the day. Him and his little band of misfits, they've slayed dragons. He's the reason why the goblins and the kobolds have a peace accord with one another. He's like protected kings. He's been at kings' coronations. Like all of the things all of the things that adventurers do, he has done. He has been there. He has seen it. And when about, I would say 200 years ago, he gave up adventuring life and settled down in a town, in a city, wherever it may be. Now, there's a couple of things that need to be known, that need to be true about this city that you're going to settle down Ned into. One, it needs to be a city that he has seen the population of the city over time. So like he not only knew your grandma, he held your grandma when she was a baby. There is like a photo of him or a painting of him holding your grandma as a baby, right? So he has seen the generations gone by. It would be even better if he was like one of the founding members of this town. That would be really fun, like if to have him memorialized like that. And two, it needs to be a town that your players are going to come to multiple times. So like maybe home base, maybe a place that you're going to have multiple things come across in there. Maybe a trading town, maybe where the guild is held, whatever you want it to be. It needs to be somewhere where they are actually going to cross roads with that town several times over, and it'll start making sense in a second. So you know the expression, it takes a village? That's normally whenever it comes to raising kids. But in my experience with my personal Noni, with Noni and my grandmother and her Alzheimer's, it took a village. It took a village to take care of Noni. And this village is the literal village, like where he lives, whether it's like a section of a big city or a small village. The village is the village. Everybody in the town loves him and treasures him because he has been there since they were children. He held them at birth, and he held their moms at birth, and he held their grandmas at birth. You know what I mean? And so because there is so much love for him in this town and so much effort for him in this town, they take care of him. You know, if he calls them by their mother's name, I'm my mother today, that's totally cool. He's a sweet, caring guy, although he does get very, very frustrated whenever you express to him that it is not how he thinks it is. If you've ever handled somebody with Alzheimer's, you know that whenever you say, no, today's date is July 16th or today's date is 2025, they get very upset. And you have to placate them in a lot of ways by being like, oh, you know, Charles is at the shop right now, or Charles is out of town visiting your daughter, remember? Like, you don't tell them that Charles is dead. You tell them that Charles is out because they're not going to remember what you said in 10 minutes. And that's kind of what the village does. The village is a village that plays pretend for Ned so that he can have a peaceful rest of his life, because in all honesty, they really, really respect him and they really care for him and they want him to have a peaceful few years that not many adventurers get to have. Not many adventurers get to go out from old age at a peaceful time in a peaceful place. And so that is what they want to do for him. Now, here is where your adventuring party comes in. See, Ned is a thing that he does whenever he hears that adventurers are in town. And he's been doing this for forever. He's been doing this for a really long time. The thing is, he's now old, so he still does it. So what he does is he gets his bag of holding, and whenever he hears that adventurers have come into town, he goes over to the adventurers, and he, in my mind, comes over to the adventurers, introduces himself with his Sylvan name, and then says, but everybody calls me Ned, or like, but my human name is Ned, and I was an adventurer just like you. You know, back in my day, I got to slay a dragon, and then he says something really cool that he got to do, something amazing, something magnificent that your players could only dream of doing, or like some like information that they already had, that like there's a peace treaty, or like there's like 100 years ago this war ended. He can be like, I'm the reason why the war ended. He says something super fucking cool and fabulous to them, and then he tells them, I have something really, really special for adventurers like you. And then everyone at your table rolls a D100. So you pick a number in your head in between 1 and 100, for example, 40. Whenever you pick the number 40, if any one of the adventurers rolls a 40, they get an uncommon magic item, like a ring of spell storing, or an immovable rod, or a flying broom, something that actually is quite helpful. But that's not the point. That's not the point of this character for you as the DM anyways. The point of this character is for them to not roll that. For them to roll wrong, to not roll the 40. Because then, what do they get from him and that he thinks will be super duper helpful on their adventuring way? A Werther's, a lollipop, a comb, if you will, something that reminds you of your grandparents, to be honest. Combs and brushes remind me of my Noni, but because she would always ask to brush my hair, even when she did not know who I was. She would ask to brush my hair because my hair is blue. She would ask to brush my hair. Because she wanted the blue to come out. So you get something that reminds you of old people, of oldies, of, something like that, and that's what you give them if they don't roll the 40. So, remember how I said that he doesn't remember new people? Ned does this every time he sees the adventurers and every time the adventurers come back. You can decide what the cooldown is, but every time he renews his brain and sees the adventurers, he will come at them with the bag of holding and be like, I have something for young whippersnappers like you, and you roll the D100. So your players should catch on, because they come back and forth from this town, your players should catch on that if he forgets, you have a chance to roll again. And if you have a chance to roll again, there's got to be something in there, right? There's got to be something good. I mean, he's the reason why the kobolds and the goblins have a peace accord. He's got to have something good in there. And he does. He does have something good in there if you roll the right number. So this begins a relationship with Ned. This begins the players listening to Ned's ramblings, listening to Ned's stories, listening to how his wife is alive, and then the person who's handling him at the time is like, she's not alive, just pretend. This begins the relationship. And what ends up happening, in my mind at least, and in my games at least, is that the players really, really fall in love with Ned, because Ned is a sweet, caring, young or old gentleman, right? So the players fall in love with Ned, and then they become part of the village, right? They become invested. They become like, we need to go back for Ned. We need to show Ned this cool thing. Maybe Ned will know what this is. And sometimes Ned does know what these things are, especially if it's old and shit. He'll know what something is. So maybe Ned will know. Ned becomes an investment. Ned becomes an asset. Ned becomes part of the things that the player thinks about, which means the players become part of the village that take care of Ned. Now, the end game, of course, of this is that you can't necessarily continuously give them magic items out of his bag of holding, even though he probably does have enough magic items to sustain them forever in his bag of holding. No. Eventually, while the players are off adventuring, whenever they come back, Ned passes away. Ned takes his final breath and passes away. When this happens, the village is going to hold a funeral for Ned. And you guys, as adventurers who continuously came back to see him, are going to be part, or your players are going to be part. What will happen is that the village will hold a funeral for Ned, whatever you choose to have as an elven funeral. They will hold that for Ned. And your players are going to be part of that funeral because they had a relationship with Ned. They cared about Ned. Of course they want to go to his funeral and honor him, except the last request of Ned is to go on one last adventure. So they're gonna put him on the pyre. They're gonna burn his body into ash. They're gonna collect the ash into a pot, and then the village is gonna hand the urn to the venturers and say, go lay him to rest at some place that you think is worthy of Ned. And I've done this once. I've gotten this far once with one group, and they died. They were honored and scared, and like, we got to think of something good. And then as you go along your adventures, as you go along saving the world, your players will have these heroes' ashes, and they can sprinkle it in multiple places. They can sprinkle it in one place after one big defeat, or if you want, alternatively, they could say that Ned wanted to be buried in the Underdark. Ned wanted his ashes spread in the Underdark. Will you take them there? And then your players have this urn, and they have this adventure that they have to go on, this side quest that they have to go on, finding an entrance to the Underdark, going back into the Drow's area, finding a suitable location, some kind of structure, some kind of ceremony area for them to spread his ashes and be at peace. And I just think that that's such a beautiful arc for an NPC. I think that that's exactly what an NPC is supposed to be. This was all inspired by my own personal grandmother. Noni had Alzheimer's, and I was part of the village that took care of her. And the way that her brain would just click at times was really amazing. She really was still a human being, just lost in her own brain. And I really wanted to encapsulate that moment in time in people's lives where you're here, but you're not here, but you're here, but it's different. I wanted to capture it. I wanted to capture it, and Ned was how I captured it. And I hope I did everyone with Alzheimer's justice. I hope that I captured the joy that the Twilight years bring, and hopefully you can capture it too, and you can capture the pain and the empathy and the tiredness and all of it. Our elders are really, really people that we should take care of and love. And that is how Ned was born. So I just wanted to say that. I hope you like them. I hope you like them. I hope you use them. If you do use them, please tell me. I've had one person tell me that they've used Ned. I only know that they used Ned. I don't know what the outcome was. But that is Ned, the Drow, with Alzheimer's. And I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to him. Yeah. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for being here. I do want to say that I did post a video last week. If you did not see it, it was a favorites video. It was just things that I have found helpful in playing TTRPGs and D&D. It was just like items that I had found helpful. I would so appreciate it if you checked it out. YouTube ate it somehow. I'm not 100% sure what happened, but I just appreciate it if you checked it out. Also, my newsletter is coming out next week, so I'm very, very excited for that. I'm very excited. It is a collaboration with my uncle, actually, who used to play D&D in the 80s. So I'm hoping that it kind of has that low fantasy 80s vibe to it. I'm really tried to encapsulate that. I appreciate everyone for being here. You are always welcome at my table, and I will see you next week.